Donald Trump doesn't understand that we want to defend ourselves, but we do need more time to do it. And his responses are not something that I'm welcoming, so especially since he's trying to play it down, saying that maybe it was a mistake, maybe it wasn't something that they were planning to do. No. If it happened in the past on individual basis, individual drones landing or flying over Polish airspace, that may have been a mistake. But if 19 of those drones fly into Poland, then it's a deliberate act of hostile intentions. And we have to say it outright.
The UK is announcing 100 new sanctions on Russia. The Foreign Office says they'll build economic pressure on Russia, targeting its military sector and illicit shadow fleet. It's not perhaps that unsurprising that this is happening, because Russia and Belarus have launched a major joint military exercise near NATO's eastern borders. It comes just 2 days, of course, after multiple Russian drones violated Polish airspace, the first exercise of its kind since the lead up to the invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. Oliver Moody is across this for The Times. Morning to you, Oliver.
Good morning.
So before we talk about the military exercise in Belarus, what is the general feeling within NATO about how to respond adequately to what we saw happen, this incursion into Poland earlier this week?
Well, probably the biggest lesson that has shaken the NATO allies is the performance of the air defence systems. Only 4 of something like 20 drones were disabled, and that involved F-35 fighter jets firing extremely expensive missiles. So there is now a lot of thinking going on about how we can tighten up the air defence. Denmark has just announced the largest arms deal in its history, and it is going to rebuild ground-based air defence systems for the first time since its old Cold War era batteries were decommissioned in the 2000s. So there is a sort of very serious sense that NATO, particularly in the kind of frontline states, needs to get its act together on this score.
Talk to us about this activity in Belarus. As I said, it's the first exercise of its kind since before the invasion of Ukraine. How concerned are people?
This is the Zapad exercise. It takes place every 4 years, and the last one in 2021 supposed only to involve about 13,000 troops, but ultimately involved 200,000 and was basically a dress rehearsal for the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine a few months later. So this time, inevitably, against the backdrop of the drone incursions on Wednesday, everyone is on tenterhooks. It looks like there will be only about 2,000 Russian troops and a total of about 28,000 Belarusian soldiers taking part, according to the latest intelligence estimates from the Baltic states. But given the level of provocations that we have seen from Russia recently, the commanders in the frontline states are in no mood to rule anything out.
Oliver, thank you so much for coming on. Oliver Moody is covering this story for The Times. You can read his dispatch on the Times website at the moment and on the app with your digital subscription. So head right now to thetimes.com. Right, let's speak to Jaroslaw Walesa, who is a Polish MP in Donald Tusk's party. Morning to you, Jaroslaw.
Good morning.
What, first of all, would you say is the response from the Polish public? How have people digested what happened with those Russian drones coming into Polish airspace? And I guess, crucially, what response do people want?
Well, to be honest, there are mixed bags of feelings. On one hand, obviously, there's a growing concern that these incursions are becoming more widely spread on a big part of Poland. But on the other hand, shooting down some of these drones was actually welcomed by a general public, that we're actually doing something. Because we have to understand that this incursion was just another step of what has been happening over Poland in the past couple of years. We had these incursions before in the past, but right now, we have to analyze it on a different sphere of influence. On the one hand, we do have this military exercises in Belarus, and it's called Zapad, right? And it means West. So basically, they're training how to attack the NATO country. So we shouldn't be surprised that this is a part of this exercise. But what is troubling is the fact that one of these drones landed no more than 100 kilometers from Gdynia. And Gdynia is a very important seaport where a lot of NATO equipment is being shipped to. So this is very alarming. But on the other hand, it should be a learning experience. It should be something that we have to analyze from what can be done to prevent this in the future. And I'm just a politician, so I'm not going to tell a military what to do. I'm expecting them to provide us with options. What can we do in the future to prevent this from happening?
Do you think that the response from NATO has been adequate? I mean, Oliver Moody told us there that only 4 out of those 20 drones that went into Polish airspace were actually brought down, and that was by very expensive fighter jets rather than missiles to take them out. Do you think NATO's approach is right, and do you feel there is enough protection for Poland at the moment?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of we have to consider and take care of. But you also have to understand that shooting down these drones also can put civilian population in danger. So sometimes, many times, it's better just to let these drones land peacefully at some secluded area instead of them exploding over a populated area. So we have to consider that as well. We're not in the war, so the procedures are different. But that being said, I'm very grateful that our closest allies, European allies, stepped up. We have a declaration from President Macron. He's going to send additional fighter jets to Poland. We have declarations from Germany and other allies from Europe. The troubling is what has been said by Donald Trump. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised because he told us many times that European has to take care of its own security. So this is just him showing his understanding of what can be accomplished within the NATO. I would expect him to do more because we still, in Europe, we still need more time to step up, beef up our military and air force, and it's going to take at least additional couple years before we can do it on our own. And this is the most troubling part in the whole thing, because it seems that Donald Trump doesn't understand that we want to defend ourselves, but we do need more time to do it. And his responses are not something that I'm welcoming, especially since he's trying to play it down, saying that it was a mistake, maybe it wasn't something that they were planning to do. No. If it happened in the past on individual basis, individual drones landing or flying over Polish airspace, that may have been a mistake. But if 19 of those drones fly into Poland, then it's a deliberate act of hostile intentions. And we have to say it outright.
Jaroslaw, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That is Jaroslaw Walesa, who is a member of the Polish Parliament. He is in Donald Tusk, of course, the Prime Minister's Civic Platform Party.